welcome. I'm Robert, and this is the modules video for Star Wars Destiny Encounters. So, on top of the rule book and difficulty sheet and player aids, there's other documents that you can download from the Encounters Google Drive folder. Okay, and I'm gonna discuss some of them and what they offer and what they add to your experience. Okay. And I think the first one that I want to discuss here is the Advanced Battlefields module. So with the base rules, the AI doesn't really pay that much attention to, or any attention really, to claim abilities. It just treats battlefield cards as if their ability text were blank, okay? Now, if you want the AI to be able to bring their own battlefield, and also so that you're able to bring your own battlefield, because with the base set rules, you technically can't bring your battlefield, all right? A battlefield is drawn at random from your collection, and then the AI and you contest it at the beginning, and whoever rolls highest, that player gains control of the battlefield at the beginning of the game. But here, if you use this module, you're going to be able to bring your own battlefield that synergizes well with your deck, and the AI will be able to do the same, okay? And how does that happen? Well, there's a new type of card that you can print that is included in this PDF, okay? It's called Enemy Battlefield Ability Cards, okay? And I have a couple of them here. So I have one of the types, which is generic, okay? And I also have the other ones, which are the specialized cards. So for every encounter set that has been released to date, all right, so here's a generic one. And for every encounter set that has been released to date, I have created a specialized advanced enemy battlefield ability card, okay? And what these do is they suggest a official, like an existing battlefield for you to give the enemy. And then at the bottom, you can see that there's a enemy claim ability, okay? So for example, here for Luke and Vader, they both share the same suggested battlefield. So what you would do is you would pick up the battlefield that's suggested there if you own it, okay? And then you would just take this card and put it underneath. And this is the battlefield that Luke and Vader will try to bring to the game. So if they win, you're gonna give this battlefield to them and put this underneath, okay? And you as the player, you're still gonna be able to use the claim ability that's printed on it, and then the enemy will use this one, okay? And keep in mind that sometimes the enemy claim abilities, they deviate a bit from the original, okay? Slightly, just so that it adapts with the enemy and it synergizes better with them. And then there's this generic one, right? So if you don't own a specific battlefield that is suggested for the enemy, you can just give them any battlefield drawn at random, all right? And then you can use this generic enemy battlefield ability card. And what it does is it has 8 different enemy claim abilities. So let's say that you draw this battlefield card at random for the enemy during setup, and you brought your own battlefield. So now you're gonna determine who goes first. And what will happen is if the enemy wins, you can give them this battlefield, and then you can use the generic card to give it a battlefield ability, all right? Now there's 8 different abilities for you to choose from, so you can pick one randomly, or you can try to match an ability that you can try to pick an ability that best matches the battlefield. So these are pretty generic battlefield abilities that are kind of overall seen in different battlefields, okay? So this will always give the enemy an option to have a useful ability, okay? So yeah, you just flip it like that, and then you have 8 in total, okay? So if you don't own the suggested battlefield for a specific encounter set, you can just always use generic. And keep in mind that even if when using the Advanced Battlefields module, even if you win the roll, you still need to provide an ability to the battlefield, even if it doesn't match it at all, just so that the enemy has an ability it can use. Okay, so that's what the generic battlefield card is for. So that's advanced battlefields. Keep in mind that this module does increase difficulty. All right, so in this PDF, the first page is just one page of rules, and then the next page is the eight specialized enemy battlefield cards. Sorry, seven specialized enemy battlefield ability cards, and then the double-sided generic one. Okay, so that's advanced battlefields. Now moving on, we have the advanced discard and hand effects. Okay, so one thing that the base game rule book doesn't really elaborate on is discard effects, okay, and how to simulate them properly. And that can get kind of murky and detailed and almost like mental gymnastics. So I know that there's a lot of decks where discard effects might not matter, so I didn't want to bog you down with those details in the rule book, okay? But I do offer this module so that if you want to implement discard effects, you can, okay? And I tried covering as many edge cases as possible. And keep in mind that I couldn't just allow people to indiscriminately discard all cards from the enemy hand, because the enemy is programmed in such a way that it leaves playing cards last. So if you just discard their entire hand in the first couple turns, then that kind of neuters the enemy, okay? So these rules that I've implemented here, it'll add a couple of safeguards for that, and there's also rules for revealing cards from the enemy's hand row, discarding cards at random, and then there's examples on the back. I'm gonna have playthroughs because now with the new rules and with the new modules, I'm gonna upload more playthroughs, and you're gonna see examples of this in action. Okay, but I've included examples on the back, and I try to be as clear as possible with how these rules work. Okay, so feel free to read this, and if your deck cares about discard effects, if your characters in your team have discard phases, pick this up. It's just one page of rules and then examples on the back. Okay, so that's the advanced discard and hand effects. Okay, and then we have the mill strategies module. So if you're not a Magic the Gathering player, milling is a slang for discarding cards from the top of a player's deck. And that's a win condition, and that's a strategy for winning in Magic. So it is in Destiny. Okay, so you can win rather than by defeating enemy characters. You can leave them with no cards in hand and their deck at the end of the round. Okay, now with base rules for Destiny, that is not the case because I do want players' deck to act as a timer. Okay. And the enemy also doesn't have they don't have a sense of when to hold off playing too many cards, okay? And when you play a mill strategy, a deck that focuses on mill, that kind of trivializes cards that focus on preventing damage and gaining shields. So the enemy is not going to know that you're doing that, okay? So this module, only one page, okay? It makes some adjustments for the enemy to adapt better for you using a mill deck, okay? And this has been requested for a while, and also, to be honest, I had not been able to play mill myself, and I wanted to as well. So I made it work better here, and there's ways of adjusting it if you want it to be a bit more difficult. There's a couple options for that, and there's some specific, looking back at I went back and saw some of the existing encounter sets that had been released, and I went ahead and suggested some adjustments to make it work with milling, okay? But except for these two, most encounter sets should not require any additional adjustments, just what's suggested here, okay? And there you go. So that's mill, and I've tried it, and it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a breath of fresh air from just focusing on damage to win. It's been really fun to play mill decks, okay? All right. Moving on, we have scoring. Okay, so I know that some people care about scoring, and I know I just want to give people something to compare against each other. So just give you some goals and see how you can do better, even with the same deck against the same enemy, and you can just compare and see how much you can push the score. Okay, and that might give you some deck brewing ideas. Okay, and make you maybe. And maybe make you approach the game differently, all right, when you keep the scoring conditions in check. I also wanted to give folks more incentives to use the elite cards, okay, because you can score more here by including more elite cards in the enemy deck and by adding a couple other elite modifiers from the discard module and the mill module, okay? So that's scoring, and for community-based things, this should be a fun way to compare with other folks. All right, and finally we have achievements. Okay, so achievements. What inspired this for me? There is a file that you can purchase from Tesseract, a sheet or like a big poster or whatever from Tesseract Games for Marvel Champions. Okay, so what that file does is it gives you this sheet where it's telling you to beat every villain with every hero and with every aspect. So you have to beat Rhino with Captain Marvel with all 4 aspects. Okay, and I really like that. It gave me some goals. Okay, and I can just keep marking the boxes when I do so, and it makes me build different decks and try combinations that I hadn't thought of before. So that inspired me to make this, okay? But I just think it's another cool thing that you can add outside of the actual game, just a meta aspect, just giving you some ideas of how you can build decks differently and just kind of break the mold a bit maybe from what you're used to, okay? Additionally, I really want to encourage people to try a Renewed Hope sets, because it is, like I said in the buyer's guide, I just love those sets so much. They're just so much fun, and the deck building when you include those is just amazing. Okay, and also listing here the Destiny Smash, and you don't even have to own all of Destiny Smash. Okay, just you can download a couple of Destiny Smash deck lists. All right. And then just build a couple characters, right? So that would count for this, okay? Yeah, so giving you more options here for you to keep track of, more goals outside of just playing the game in general, but achievements. So that is the last module from the list. So yeah, those are all the modules, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, make sure you put them in the comment section. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.